Let me get one for you. There you go.
Okay. All right, so we are in the bottom section on page AYIN Vav. So the whole phenomenon that we discussed in Kochas HaNefesh, there's mochin and midot, and how what is the interrelationship and so forth, and the differences. Now we're translating them in avodah. How the union of Elokus is permeating, so to speak, coming into mochin, and then from mochin into midot. V'hine ba'avodah. Behold, when it comes to avodah, avodas Hashem, b'hechrech, it is imperative sheyiyu hamidos aba v'yira b'hisgalos alem. It's a must. There should be a sense of ava and yira, of avos Hashem and yiras Hashem, b'hisgalos alem, in fully expressed in the heart. That was the heart would sense, would feel a union from Ahava, would feel a union from Yiras Hashem. And it's a must. Why? Why can't you do Avodas Hashem just mitzad your seichel? The reason is Mishter b'pnei shezeh shayach lekiyim hamitzvot b'pei mamash. Because this Ava V'yira, this is what pertains to Kiyum HaMitzvot, to fulfilling the mitzvahs B'pei Mamash in actual action. Ukmei shekosu b'sefer shel Beinim, as he writes in Sefer Beinim, in Tanya, he says a very simple term. The Ava V'yira, that these two qualities of Ava and Yira, Hein mokoy mitzvos asay or mitzvos leis asay. They are the source for the fulfillment and performance of mitzvos asay, or positive mitzvos, or mitzvos leis asay, and the negative mitzvos, abstaining from what is forbidden. V'am kaimon be'emes. This is the word from the Alter Rebbe in Tanya. V'am kaimon be'emes, the one who fulfills the mitzvos in truth. Hu ha'ohev. He is the one who oheves Hashem, etc. He describes the English that the one who has avos Hashem and yiras Hashem. He is the one who is makayim the mitzvahs be'emes in truth.
Ha'ohev is.
I'm sorry.
Ha'ohev.
Ha'ohev, who loves. So this is a broad topic. Clearly, the whole Tanya is really focused on this. The translation of the word Hamakaimon be'emes, who is the one who fulfills the mitzvahs be'emes in truth. What does in truth mean? It means that he does not perform them merely in action with his hands and feet or his mouth, but in truth, which means that he is personally involved in fulfilling the mitzvahs. And to be personally involved in fulfilling the mitzvahs, it can only be that he is permeated with ahava v'yira in heart. In other words, he does not merely, the Alter Rebbe speaks over there in Tanya, of all kinds of different stages, all kinds of different levels in the Beinani. But in all aspects of Beinani, even in the most superficial, that does not really permeate, so to speak, the heart, there has to be, there is a cognizance that Hashem is deserving that we should cleave to Him, even though I cannot really reach that material. But this is how it should be, and this deserving, this is the last level where I can say this is a true motivator for our mitzvahs.
A person feels that Hashem is deserving,
Right.
that the person should serve Him.
Right.
Huh.
Mitzvahs, that's very briefly. Mitzvahs, mitzvahs, these are mitzvahs that we have in the Torah that come directly from Hashem. They do not necessarily relate to the world situation or to base themselves on the worldly requirements. These mitzvahs are mitzvahs that state that there's a divine presence, and from that present perspective, this is what you have to do, these mitzvahs. Not that there's a worldly perspective, but there is a divine presence. V'oid, okay, so therefore to be kind of mitzvahs you have to have Abba v'yira, as I said, begili halev. Bizgalos halev. Which is a very difficult task. That the physical heart should feel Ahavas Hashem. Requires an enormous amount of purification. Ba'oid, and furthermore, another inyan that is affected by the Ahava v'yira b'izgalos halev, she'alidei zeh, where as a result of that, of having Ahava v'yira b'izgalos halev, dafka, only this way, nase hazichu chubiru the nefesh habamis. This is what affects a zichur, a purification, and birur means a clarification in the nefesh habamis.
Through the avodah of slowly reaching to this? By
having Abba V'yira b'Hizgalus Halev, this is what ultimately affects the nefesh habamis as well. This is how you reach to be Mevada Nefesh Habamis. And the Rebbe explains, what do I mean that this is imperative to be Mevada Nefesh Habamis? The Ba'aveda the Meichin Levad, because the Aveda of Meichin Levad, if one has recognition of a Likus in his mind, in Chochmah and Bina, even if he has it in full recognition in Chochmah and Bina, nonetheless, that alone eina nita kadayim echumrius hanefesh habamis. And from that perspective, from that level, it's alone the nefesh habamis does not move. Nitak means does not budge. And yet, mechumrius hanefesh habamis, from the coarseness of the nefesh habamis. Nefesh habamis, just on points necessary to understand what the Rebbe is saying. Nefesh habamis is, as it is named, the nefesh of the behema nefesh, an animalistic type of a nefesh. What is the difference between a human nefesh and an animal type of a nefesh? Nefesh habahamis. In human being, inevitably, everything that he observes and is drawn to, as we said before, there is an element of intelligence, an element of what is this about? Like we said, that even if he is eating, if he is doing things mitzad atayva and so forth, there has to be an element of a sickness, something that justifies this action. Nefesh habahamis, a behema does not require this effect. Only that which touches it directly, this is what is drawn to. So to cause a budge in the chumrius, in the coarseness of us, of course you can superimpose and you can control and discipline of Rabbanis. No question about it. But in terms of true transformation, to purify the Shabamis, and those Shabamis would begin to sense a union that is other than behema, other than personal satisfaction. That does not happen unless it goes through the heart. Avedis HaMeichin, even if it is fully comprehended in the Meichin, does not yet touch the reach of Nefesh Habahamis. And as we already discussed here, Meichin only state that this is the truth. Midot state that this is my truth. This is for me, this is my thing. Nefesh Habahamis cannot be affected by presenting to the argument, no matter how clear the argument is, that this is the right thing. Because it's a chumri. Chumri means it is down to earth and it is coarse on the earthly level. And therefore, in Avedis HaMoichin, no matter how profound, how clearly the Moichin understand and reflecting on the union of Chokhmah and Bina, it does not cause a budge in Nefesh Habahamis. Then he says in parentheses something very unique. Rak, except mi she'avidosehi b'derech milmaylo lamat. One whose avodah is altogether, his whole avodah is b'derech, in the manner, in the path of milmaylo lamato, from top down. So the Rebbe is mentioning this in a very brief parentheses, and since he mentions it, it behooves us to understand what he is referring to. All avodah begins with some kind of awareness. What is reality? What is the basic environment that you are operating in? Normally, the average person, his basic environment is the world environment. Except in the world itself, he recognizes that there's good and evil, and there are different qualities and so forth. But the playing field, so to speak, is the world. This is what confirms to him that there is some kind of reality. Well, I see the world. The Rebbe once said by Fabrengen, and this is not a new statement, but this was interesting, the Rebbe said it by Fabrengen. If you ask a child, how do you know that there is a world? Some kind of an odd question. How do you know there's a world? Where am I? Where do I come to? Where do I exist? What is the chair that I'm sitting on? So the Rebbe says, you ask a child, how do you know there's a world? He answers to you, well, it's as impossible. God created the world, and therefore I know that there is a world. Shemayim v'oretz. What does this mean? This is a child. To put it a little bit in make sense in it. A child who has not yet developed any kind of interests and involvement in worldly matters, and his knowledge of truth is only from what he learned in Cheder. This is his intellect is only aware of that which he learned in Cheder. And in Cheder he learned Bereshit bara Elokim et hashamayim v'ha'aretz. And therefore he knows that there is a world, because it says in the Torah that Hashem creates my worlds. In terms of knowledge, intellectual knowledge, this is where it's coming from.
What we say about the child, the opposite, namely he starts with the physical. He starts with putting things in his mouth to validate that they're there.
No, you're talking about an infant. You're talking about an infant.
Yeah, but that's the basis. That experiential, worldly setting is his basis for knowledge and experience.
That's why I'm emphasizing the knowledge. This is not a knowledge level. This is before the child relates to knowledge, where he judges everything by personal experience. A child to whom you can ask, how do you go to 770? And he can answer, you go this direction and you go up to this street and then you turn around and go. This child does not know things by tasting them.
And also he's saying he'll answer, how do you know there's a world, not based, he won't reference his own experience, he'll reference a pasuk he heard.
That's right, because that's what knowledge is. How do you know? How do you know is a very special question.
How do you know?
How do you know is not a question of proof. The question, how do you know? What makes you know that there is a world? So he says, I learned in Cheder. Rishis Baruch the Shemaim Zoretz. Because at this stage in life of a child, like we said many times, Omer Rava, Omer Rav Nachman. And what is knowledge to a person? That which he was taught. That is true knowledge, so to speak. This is a pure knowledge.
What is knowledge? Is that which he is taught?
Yeah.
Isn't knowledge that which? So whether it confirms or goes against his experience.
That's right.
Knowledge
is that which he learned.
I guess maybe because I studied Bereshis Bara Elokim pretty late in life, I'm wondering what that would be like to sense or know that there's a world only based on a pasuk, not on what you've seen and touched.
Well, even though you did not come from Beijing Tosha, but it came from your parents telling you, you don't do it this way, you do this way.
You don't do it this way, you do it that way. Is a mashal for...
Is also a teaching type of thing. This is the right way to do things. Eventually, it comes down to your own experience and your own verification. But prior to that, you know that this is the right thing to do.
Yeah, it's just very interesting that, I mean, the Rebbe's question is, how do you know there's a world, right? Which is a very so-called worldly, seems to, how do I know this cup is here?
No. See, that's why I'm emphasizing.
Yeah.
Listen. How do you know? A very, very unique question.
Yeah, it's going right past me. I don't know what...
Okay, that's what I'm saying.
I don't hear it.
Look at that.
Uh-huh.
How do you know that you're hungry? I'm hungry. My stomach is telling me that I'm hungry. What do I care about the world? How do I know that there is a world? That is a completely different level of orientation. That knowledge comes through the process of learning.
Whenever you mention process and learning, I start to think about sort of experience and
I hear.
what we see and hear.
So I'm saying learning is, we have to distinguish first of all, not I learn, but intellectually I know. Intellectual knowledge is different than my personal knowledge. I know that if I touch, any child knows if he touches, even the mothers take their child's hand and let him touch something, something on the stove that's hot, for a second. The child knows this is hot and he stay away from it. This is sometimes required to keep the child safe from the stove.
So you're separating that from
knowledge.
Knowing there's a world. And that's what it says in the brackets here, milamata, milamayla, lamata.
No way. That's what I'm saying. No, that's milamata lamayla. You know it from knowing, milamayla lamata.
Yeah.
In other words, if his avodah is really based on what he had learned,
yeah,
exclusively, not from personal verification, and that is his world, then by him, that which he knows is his mochin, that is sufficient to guide him in his life.
Mm-hmm.
Because the whole world exists by having learned about it. Okay. So let's continue. After the parenthesis. So by avoided hamoichin, the chumrius of nefesh habamis, the coarseness of the nefesh habamis, the root of the nefesh habamis in worldliness and in coarseness has not yet budged. Kiim only, al deho avedo the ahavavira davko. It is a result, and by the effect of the avedo of ahavavira. Dafka, exclusively. This is when you actually touch the nefesh habamis. And you, in effect, raise his world a bit to a more meaningful presence. I've observed we have a child who is not fully, unfortunately, not fully developed. Is lacking the intellectual qualities. And when he sees a piece of food, regardless of what kind of food it is, bread, cake, meat, whatever it is, the first thing is, I've seen it. It goes right into his mouth. He would not hesitate to pick something out of the garbage and put it in his mouth. I've observed it, Pusha. I've seen it happen, fortunately. This is when his intellectual qualities do not have a chance to develop. Whole reality is what he sees and how he experiences it. This is on an essential level, on a primary, on the starting point. This is nefesh habamis. All right, that'll be it for this morning. So we'll learn something more about nefesh habamis. How was that?
Recorded.
Right?
Recorded.
Of course it's recorded. If the baby says, "Woo," doesn't it record it?
That wasn't recorded.